All right, welcome back to another episode of Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics. My name is Troy, aka Keep Troy Blue. With me, as always, is Cathy Cannon, aka Birthday Girl.
Yay,
Cannon's
that's
fodder. It
me.
is Cannon's birthday weekend, and
That's
we're
me.
super excited. Cannon, how old are you now? Like 24 ish?
43. I turned
Oh my goodness.
43. I know. I was telling the kids all week and they didn't believe me. I'm like, explain to me this. Why would I lie about being old? If I was going to be lying about my age, it wouldn't be fucking 43,
Well,
I
how old do
think.
they think you are? I mean, you don't look
They all
43.
think, like, okay, they tell me, they're like, I thought you were in your 30s. Now, they say that, I think, to like grease the wheels of be nice to Canon. But then on some level, I think it might be true because random people on TikTok have said the same thing to me. So y'all tell me, how old did you think I was?
You don't
Let
look
me know.
43. I don't know. I mean, maybe mid 30s. I guess late 30s. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I get,
Um,
like, I was thinking that, like, given that I do
I
all
look
of
like I'm
my
68, but yeah, that's just a whole other.
I don't think I look 43, but I also don't know what 43 looks like, if that makes any
Well, it
sense. You
doesn't
know what
look
I
like
mean?
anything
Like,
anymore because like the Golden Girls were in their 40s. You know what I mean? Like that was like, or they were
well, I think
supposed
they
to
were
be.
in their 60s, to be fair. But that's the other point. Like, what we think of as 43 from when we were kids, like, it just doesn't, like, I don't know what 43 is supposed to look like. So I don't know what I look like. I look like Kathy as far as I'm concerned.
Brad
And I guess,
Pitt is 60 goddamn years old. So,
but
right
Brad Pitt
there.
is also a millionaire who's had like all kinds of like things to keep him looking not 50,
That's
60,
true.
whatever the fuck. Plus, like, the gilded life of a celebrity, I can't
He's
imagine, like, adds to the gray hairs.
he's drinking the blood or whatever. What's in
I don't know. Don't
what's that
feed the beast
compound
on
that they're
that one. Don't encourage them, Troy. Don't encourage them.
boy, yeah, it's
All
all
right.
real, folks. All that's real. So big news, big news, like breaking this morning
Big.
as we're recording.
I know. Like, I woke up
Um,
this morning. I was like, oh, no big deal. Just the overthrow of a government. Let's just go back to
wow, you
bed.
never see stuff like this anymore. Like, it just so Syria, the government of Bashar al-Assad has fallen as of this morning, Sunday, December 8th. Wow, that war started in 2011 as part of
Yeah, I
the Arab
know.
Spring. Like that's
I
how long that
know.
shit's been going on.
I know, like,
Um,
Obama was fighting these guys,
yeah, this
y'all.
was like
Like, in his
Obama's
first
major.
term. Like, in his
Yeah,
first term.
this was
This was the
Obama's major,
the
like
first thing post midterms 2010. We're like, oh fuck, now we got this to deal with.
possibly Obama's biggest screw up when he drew a red line for Bashar al-Assad, which is don't use nuclear or don't use chemical weapons, and then Assad did use chemical weapons, which Tulsi
Yeah, but I
Gabbard
still
denies, by
blame
the
the
way.
fucking
Um,
Republicans for that because I think that was a fair red line, but the Congress wasn't going to back him up was the problem. Because remember, Mitch McConnell's number one goal is to make sure Barack Obama's a one-term president.
yeah,
A good way to do that would be to like make an ass of him on the world stage, and that is why. So why did Syrian civil war go for 13 years? That would be Turtle Man Mitch McConnell.
I think Russia had something to do with it too. So
Well,
that
that too,
that
but
did it's just a brief history on that. So that started in 2011 as like an Arab Spring, like all of these like following the Iraq, following the toppling of Saddam Hussein and the toppling of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, you had all these like Arab nations that were looking for democracy, and you had these like not spontaneous, but sort of like Twitter, Facebook organized mini revolutions, and it was going really, really well. Like Tunisia, all these countries,
mhm.
Egypt, it was successful in Egypt. Um, until it got to Syria and Bashar al-Assad, the Assad family has been ruling Syria for a billion years. I don't know, 60 years or whatever. Um, so Bashar al-Assad was like, nope, I'm not stepping down. I'm sorry. I'm not like those other, decent dictators in the Middle East that'll just step down because you ask me to. I'm going to oppress and murder all of you. And that led to an outbreak of a civil war that's been going on in
And it
Syria
actually
for
fueled ISIS for like a
yeah, and
decade
then
as well. Yeah.
and then ISIS managed to hop in there too. They almost
Mhm.
had him. They almost had Assad, but then Russia and Iran, basically, Russia came in on the side of the government and was basically um,
Only to piss
supporting
us off, though, to be
Assad.
real.
But that
Because the
was,
way Putin.
I read today the interesting strategic thing on that, Kathy, and then
Mhm.
I'll let you brain dump on it. But um, it's not an accident why this is happening right now. Like
Not
look
at
at the
all.
other regional geopolitical stuff going on, right?
Mhm.
Israel just leveled Hezbollah, which was a major supporter of the Syrian regime, and
Mhm.
Russia has been focused on Ukraine. All of Russia's focus has been on Ukraine. All of the allies of Assad and the Syrian government turned and started fighting other things, turned their back on Syria, and it just gave the Syrian rebels enough oxygen to take over. And it was like a lightning attack, just the last few days, really just coming in and taking over Damascus.
Like, first of all, it's finally cool to be the foreign policy kid, Troy. You know, like as the nerd who loves like global history and foreign policy, like, you know, even in poli-sci worlds, the foreign policy guys are like at the table by themselves, right? Most of the poli-sci kids are American policy, and I did too. I did American political parties, was what I studied, because to me, the American political parties reflect the global landscape, right? The parties change in response to global attitudes more than domestic ones. But finally, I get to be the cool kid. I finally get to talk about it. I'm like, well, 100 years ago, in the fall of the Ottoman Empire, that created political factions in the region that have created. Well, I am the cool person.
Do you want to literally do like a 3-hour lecture right now on the Ottoman Empire?
Because I hate you so much, because I've told you like my trauma on the Ottoman Empire. Have I told our podcast family my trauma on the Ottoman Empire? I'll do a quick tangent, y'all. Okay, so when I was a little kid, keep in mind my parents are British, and Troy, you're experiencing this now. European schools are not American schools. Can we concede that this is correct?
They're much better.
Much better. Meaning, like, your daughter right now is what? She's 4 or 5?
She's almost 5. She's
almost 5, right? Yeah. So she's probably learning kindergarten, first grade shit over there. Whereas here in preschool, she'd be like, today's letter of the week is B, right? Like, but what's she doing in school?
She's 4. First of all, she's 4. She's in their version of kindergarten, so she's already like a year ahead of the American kids. But yeah, she's learning math. She comes home with math homework. She's writing words, like all kinds of stuff.
And you haven't gotten there yet, right? But you'll also notice, like, you don't get a 12-week summer break anymore, do you? There's none of that yet.
They get summers off, but it's
yeah, but you get 8 weeks, I think. No, you get 6 weeks. Yeah. 6 weeks. You get a 6-week summer break, which is reasonable. That's a decent break, but it, like, before learning loss kind of kicks in. Remember, like, the summer slide that we have here?
Well, it's just also like, there's not this like anti-intellectual, this is a whole other conversation, but there's just not this like
why they want kids in school.
The kids actually like to go to school. They like to learn. They're not, it's not this hatred of education like you have in the US.
Right. But because and the American school calendar, remember, is still very much built off of its agrarian roots. Like, why are we off all summer? Because we need you in the farms, kids, right? But that wasn't the case in Europe. They care about schools. So my dad was mortified when we were children that we would have 12 weeks off to just dick around in the summer, right? Because like, one, I think he felt really bad for my mom having all 3 of us home because he traveled a lot for work. But like, 2, what the fuck are you gonna do? Like, what are you doing for 12 weeks? So he would like give us all book reports and projects, right? So we would all have a book that we had to read over the summer, and we had like a project that we had to do over the summer. And in between 4th and 5th grade, no, in between 3rd and 4th grade, sorry, because I was 9, I got my book I had to read was A Tale of Two Cities. Now, it wasn't the real Charles Dickens version. It was the children's abridged versions. Like, I think you had the same ones. We talked about our nerdiness. And I had to do a report on the Ottoman Empire at fucking 9, right? So, like, but my dad was also, like, this was one of his, we all have our hyperfixate history thing. Well, his is because T.E. Lawrence, like Lawrence of Arabia, like, that was my dad's like hyperfixation. So he gave me the Ottoman Empire. So it was never good enough. It was go back and look up this, go back and look up this. So I'm sitting here with my children's encyclopedia, fucking his encyclopedia, whatever. And then when I was done with my project, he made me watch Lawrence of Arabia, which is a brilliant movie now that I'm 43 and an adult. But when I was 9, I'm pretty sure it ended my life.
Is that Peter O'Toole?
Lawrence of Arabia. No, Charlton Heston.
Who's in that? Is that Heston?
Oh, I'm going to check now. I don't know. Trauma blocked it, Troy.
Like, I never want to see it again.
No, I've seen it again since. And I remember like watching it again as an adult. And I called my dad and I was like, you know what, Dad? It was a good movie because it didn't feel like it was 84 years long when I'm not 9. But it did. It was really long, but it's a really good.
At least he didn't make you read the actual Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens at 9. Because
I ultimately did. But no, you're right. It's Peter O'Toole, and Alec Guinness. Yeah, but
so tell us about the Ottoman Empire, about Syria.
It collapsed in World War I.
Syria was the French region, right, of the Saxe-Picot agreement. Like,
I mean, I could pull up a map if you want to do the
Brits
sharing.
got Palestine, Jordan, and Iraq.
Yeah, because the real story of the Ottoman Empire isn't like the ruling empire part of it. It's what happened when it collapsed and who got what, right? Because here is a picture. I'm gonna see if I can copy the picture and put it in our little our thing here. I don't know where it'll fit. Hold on, let me find our stuff. I'm very bad at this, guys. I apologize. But if you could put that on the screen, you can edit it. Oh, because we're not live. I'm talking like we're live, right? The Ottoman Empire is basically like the way I actually described it in my little report in 4th grade was it's like a claw that's like trying to eat Europe, right? Because it kind of looks like it's going to swallow the Mediterranean Sea if you kind of look at it, right? Like think of a claw, like that's kind of what it looks like, right? Whatever. I was 9. Shut up. But like the Ottoman Empire included like Al
Jazeera.
Algeria. I can't talk to like Algeria, Libya, and Egypt, right? That part of Africa, but also like portions of what is today Saudi Arabia and Yemen, as well as like all of what we know as the Middle East, as well as parts of Eastern Europe, so like east of Italy, right? So like when that all got split up,
seriously underrated empire, by the way. Like like everybody in the U.S. and the West has such a big boner for the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire kind of sucked. Like the Ottomans were were a very, very dominant empire for hundreds of years, and like barely know anything about them.
Like here, yeah. Well, that's the other thing that kind of frustrated me is like you made me learn about this empire nobody ever fucking talks about. Like, do you know how much homework I could have gotten out of if he gave me the Roman Empire? Yeah, but no, he gives me the fucking Ottomans, doesn't he? But anyway, but yeah, to your point, yeah, like the Ottoman Empire ruled this region of the world all the way up to World War I, which means through the Age of Revolutions, when France was killing Napoleon, when America was overthrowing the British Empire, the Ottoman Empire held this territory. If you look at this map, like that is some tense territory to this day. And they held it together for a long time. And immediately upon losing control of this territory, Israel and Palestine have devolved into consistent war, like have been at war ever since the fall of this empire. So,
But Syria was like the French holding, and so they, Syria once also encompassed Lebanon. Lebanon was a breakaway from Syria,
and that was in the 90s, I think, that they split, right?
Yeah, or 80. It was like the
late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s, yeah. But Syria's been under this sort of family dictatorship for a while, the Assad family. Which is looking like it is over. Bashar al-Assad has fled Syria. They don't know where he is.
They don't know where he is the best part.
He has ordered his prime minister, and this is what's so fascinating about this thing. The dude like slaughters his own people for more than a decade, like a decade and a half.
For
funsies. And then now he's like, all right, I'm out. And he leaves his prime minister behind, and he's like, orders his prime minister to like ensure a peaceful transfer of power. So he's like,
no honor among thieves.
He's like number 2 in command. He's like, all right, let's try it democratically again. I mean, I know I slaughtered my own people.
I know I'm a monster, but let's not be monster. Basically, only I'm allowed to be a murderous monster, no one else. So if I can't kill people, everyone be nice. That is what he is saying.
The rebels. So there's some question about who these people were, because this has been going on for so long. It's like, okay, wait. We had the original sort of like Arab Spring guys. We had ISIS. We had like Al Qaeda in Iraq that went into Syria, became ISIS. Those guys are largely destroyed. But so it's sort of like, who are these people? It's a combination of basically 2 coalitions. One is an Islamic group called the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which used to be part of Al Qaeda in Iraq. They're not as intense as ISIS. They are a little ISIS-y, isosceles maybe, but they are not as intense.
What did
as
you just say?
I was trying to make an adjective for ISIS. I don't know.
Did you say isosceles?
I don't
like
think
the
isosceles
triangle.
Works. Isosceles Kramer. No.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh at you. That was just really funny.
It's a little bit. This is what happens when I like improv on the show.
It's all right.
So the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is an Islamic insurgency, and they are really sort of responsible for this. But joining on to their to their effort was just sort of a coalition of just regular, legit Syrian rebels, the Syrian National Army, which has basically been funded by Turkey. So you have a combination of, like it was back in the day, you have a combination of sort of just regular, like pro-democracy rebels combined with Islamic insurgents, and you're gonna have to figure it now. They're gonna have to figure out how to all work together. I'm sure this Islamic group is not gonna just sort of step aside and let but we'll see. Who knows? I don't know.
Well,
They
I'm
publicly
like,
disavowed Al Qaeda and ISIS in 2016. So everyone thought that they are again, they're not as isosceles as the others.
well,
But
remember, there's also different sects of Islamic groups, so
yeah,
they might not be associated with them because Sunni, Shia, all that
again,
crap.
like Syria again is supported by Iran because Syria is a Shia Muslim country. So there is interest of will be a Sunni Shia conflict. But anyway, just interesting stuff to look at for the future of that country. Again, the government we're only hours into the fall of the Assad government. So
like
just
3 hours in, I think.
letting these people have their celebrations. Some of the best videos I've seen are people saying, I'm no longer a Syrian refugee. I'm just a Syrian, which is just
Yeah, because
really
that's
cool.
what I saw, is that like people who fled the country years and years ago are like, do I get to go home? Like, and I think that's really kind of magical, The one thing I am a little bit like, I'm not gonna lie, I still have a raised eyebrow because Turkey. And part of it is because maybe it's just trauma from my 4th grade project. I don't know. But Erdogan is not exactly like the most trustworthy of guys, right?
Nah.
Like Turkey is a democracy. It's got a federalist government like ours. It's got the 3 branches, separation of powers. It's got all that jam, right? But Erdogan,
it's in NATO.
Yeah, I know, but like Erdogan is very much pushing the limits of what that will, tolerate, I think, which is why this is so interesting. Like why Erdogan funding a democratic revolution in Syria is so interesting, because he's been flirting with dictatorships as well. You know what I mean?
He wants breathing room. He wants to establish like a buffer zone between himself, because he doesn't want the Kurds. He wants to create like a buffer zone for the Kurds.
Or can we go into canon conspiracies? Because I know we all love canon conspiracies. I had people on my TikTok say, like, can this be a series on the podcast? Sure. Troy would love it.
Oh, yeah, it's a series.
Troy would love. Troy would fucking love canon conspiracy segments. Remember how way back in the long ago when Lizzie died and King Charles came to the throne, I said that there's a psychology to the King of England that is going to trigger the age of empires, right? Like, why did Putin invade Ukraine? Because he wants to rebuild the Russian Empire, right? Why is Erdogan funding the overthrow of Syria? Sure, he wants a buffer space between him and the Kurds, or he wants Syria to be part of Turkey again. Turkey being the main.
Is he trying to rebuild the Ottoman Empire?
The Ottoman Empire. That's what I'm getting at, right? Like, and what if he is? Right? Because Israel has isolated themselves from a lot of like rebels, right? They overthrew Hezbollah in Lebanon. But like Lebanon is where a lot of Syrian refugees went. And I hate to use World War II talk, but there's a lot of Syrians in Lebanon. Why don't we just make Lebanon part of Syria? It's not like that's never happened.
Isn't technically the government of Lebanon like a Christian? Aren't they like a Christian government? They don't have as much.
Could make it funsies. I don't know. But that's the thing. Like the Ottoman Empire did live with religious peace for
the Ottoman Empire was such a better empire than the Roman Empire. They were like the center of education for the entire world. They had like relative, not always, but they had for lengthy periods of time they had relative like peace and harmony, and like
it all went to hell with the Armenian genocide, which was in fact when the empire turned on their Christian peoples. But if you ask a Turkish person, it was a civil war where only one side had weapons, because those are always the fun civil wars.
That is a good question though, because Armenia is there, and you know what else is right there? Georgia, and they've got
Georgia, where there are also protests going, and Libya, which still kind of could use some friends.
So you may be onto something there, because that region, that whole sort of Turkey, east of Turkey, where Europe sort of becomes the Middle East. Turkey, Georgia, Syria, Lebanon, that's all Israel got, that's all sort of going up in flames right now. So I don't know. You may be onto something.
World War I. Yeah, because
Erdogan,
World War I, that was the buffer zone. You know what I mean? Like,
Erdogan, yeah, I don't know. Erdogan maybe up to something there.
yeah, because again, like, let's look at our map of this region of the world again, right? Look to, and if you're looking at the map, everybody, it would be like the light green part where Cairo, the Suez Canal, and all of that stuff is, because that's also that little strip north, Jerusalem. You can see it right there. So Israel has lost a lot of allies. Bibi Netanyahu is not popular, but using an unpopular chode to kind of like do your dirty work for you. So
is he more of a taint? Would you call him a taint or a chode? I don't know.
I think either and both work in this particular case, but
yeah, chode works, I guess. Yeah,
chode works, but either way, I think like I'm giving credit to Biden here because I want to, and I think he deserves it. But like, he got a lot of heat for like giving Benjamin Netanyahu some leeway to do what he was doing. But we also know that what Benjamin Netanyahu was doing outside of his genocide in Gaza was killing all the people we spent 20 years in the Middle East trying to kill, right? Which is evidenced by his overthrowing of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Like, I think we know a losing battle when we've got one, so maybe use a helpful idiot. So now Israel still has an unpopular Bibi Netanyahu. The genocide is even less popular, and it's Donald Trump coming to power that I think is triggering this, because the United States is kind of the only empire left in the world. But
isn't that the truth?
With Donald Trump at the helm, that's got to be terrifying for the fucking world. So if you think about it, if NATO steps up, which you're kind of seeing a little bit happen, like there's tension in the French government, there's tension in the German government, and there's tension in the UK government, which is always fun when those three countries can't get their shit together. But I think it's also a sign.
That's never a good sign. Those three just have when
Russia's fighting people, like, there's a lot of shit going on that could be scary. But I also a little bit think that it's more like a reshuffling of the chessboard, if you will. Like, we're in a world right now, pre-Donald Trump ascending power again, where the world largely looks to the United States as like the what do we do, guys? But nobody's going to want to look at the United States as a what do we do, guys, with Donald Trump in charge, especially with Donald Trump surrounded by sycophants that can't stop him. So I think in a lot of ways, internationally, all this conflict we're seeing right now is sort of a like, we need to figure out who's going to be America because we can't trust America, right?
Oh, the U.S. is done.
The U.S. is done, right? Like, we're going isolationist on trade, everything.
Until I can't see. The U.S. at least needs to sit the next couple of decades out. Europe doesn't trust the U.S. anymore. Like, Europe's turning inward to protect themselves. They're either going to turn inward or they're going to turn to China with BRICS. I don't know. It's not going to be. The U.S. is not going to be a major player on the world stage here, and maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe we need to just kind of sit the hell down.
Yeah, like we are the boy kings who have done a very bad job. But I think what I think is going to happen in the second Trump term is the United States is going to become Britain post World War II, right? Like a falling, dismantling empire.
A falling empire that just needs
so
to
you're probably going to see
for a bit.
Yeah, like, well, more than that, I think you're going to see a lot of countries like push our military bases out, and maybe not necessarily push them out or replace them with European troops.
Yeah.
So what I think, like, the tension between like France and Germany right now and the UK is basically like, who among these three of us get to be in charge of NATO? Is I think what it's going. And the UK is a little bit fucked because they went ahead and left the Eurozone, right? So France and Germany, I think, are going to be competing for that one. So it's always good when France and Germany are.
It's France. It's either going to be France or Germany, and the French government's in chaos too. And they may very well, France may very well have its own Donald Trump here by the end of next year with Marine Le Pen, because the French government just collapsed in a no confidence vote. The centrist coalition of Emmanuel Macron is falling apart. He's sitting at 22% approval rating. There's calls for him to resign the presidency before his term's up in 2027. You have Marine Le Pen. You're the far right ascendant, basically, in France. But it'll be France or Germany that sort of takes over NATO. I think I think similar to the US. I think the UK is kind of a joke. I think the UK, like, people don't really take the UK that seriously
Well, that's
anymore
what it is. It's like King
after they
Charles was like,
left
I know,
the
I'll ascend the
EU.
throne and rebuild the British Empire. No, you won't, sir. You are dead and gone, right? But the idea of a king of England triggered in everybody's head. Like, that's why Putin started. That's why everyone started, right? So I could see, truthfully, and this is going to sound fucking weird as a British person, right? But let's just say I trust the Germans more than the French.
I mean,
So that
I do too. I mean, I trust the
because
German
Germany
instincts
kind of
more than
learned
the
its
French
lesson
instincts.
post World War II,
The
right?
problem
France
is that Germany really doesn't have much of a military. They don't, like, France has nukes, and like France has like a military.
right, which is why I a little bit think it's that, which is why I think it's sort of best to put Germany at the helm because they don't have the weapons. Like, I think the psychology of having weapons of mass destruction is that you kind of know you can always lean back on them. I don't think Germany will navigate the crisis with the idea of drop fucking nukes, which I think will keep them a little bit more reasoned. And Germans are very, like, let's just be real. Like, Hitler was successful because Germans are good at organizing and executing strategies. Now, like, that energy on the good guys team could be a good idea, is all I'm saying, right? But Macron, I've always just had weird, like, I don't trust him. Like, I know he invited, like, they just did the Notre Dame Cathedral opening, and I know he had like Zelensky and Trump like meet while they were there. I don't know. There's just something about Emmanuel Macron that just does not sit right with me. I can't put my finger on it. I get icky vibes.
Macron trying to play like, but that's Macron, and that's France sort of being like, okay, we're in charge now. But Macron, Macron trying to play peacemaker is just kind of asinine.
He just seems so smart.
He's sitting at 22% approval rating. Nobody in France likes that guy. They can't, like, his own people can't stand him. His party is just consistently getting annihilated in election after election after election. They've managed to sort of unify the far right and the far left just because of how unpopular his party is. So France is a mess.
Point. Yeah, and actually to that point, like, I had it written down, so I'm glad you brought it up. You set me up perfectly there, right? Like, since post World War II, like, the world politics at large has very much been trying to play this, let's have moderate ruling parties. Let's focus on compromise and diplomacy, which, given that we fought like 2 fucking world wars within 25 years, I get that vibe, right? But I also think 80 years out, it's not working anymore. And that's why we see extremes. You see far right, you see far left, right? But as we've kind of talked about, horseshoe theory, right? Far left and far right aren't usually far apart. It's just they're pissed about the same things and followed a different path to their anger, right? But eventually those two paths can converge. And you're a little bit seeing that here post United Healthcare CEO assassination. But, like, I think a little bit like Macron shitting the bed might be what happens. Like, the idea of extreme parties is that they're frustrated with the status quo and they want extreme change. They're frustrated about the same things, about wealth inequality and a system that seems rigged against them. They have a different idea as to who did those things. But once you at least get them in a room agreeing that the same things are wrong, it's a little bit easier to point to how to make the right things right.
Agreed.
But anyway.
It's also really fucking embarrassing that, like, it was always the US that was in the middle of those, like, handshake things. It was always the US president that was, like, bringing people together. Now it's like the French president is, like, bringing, like, the US and Ukraine together, and, like, Donald Trump
seriously,
is, like,
how bad is Donald
Trump?
Yeah, like, how bad is Donald Trump? People turned to France.
It's fucking embarrassing, but it's also like, I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, that's going to be the reality of a US under.
I just think this is kind of like overdue. And I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I do know that it's not going to be America on top anymore. I think our reign of terror running the world is behind us, and I think
our whole economy is about to collapse. But that's another episode. But so you have France kind of in crisis. So their government has collapsed in a no confidence vote, first time in decades. So they have to wait till next summer before they can have another election. You have the situation in Syria. You have the situation in Georgia. Georgia is lighting it up right now. Former Soviet Georgia, again, right, a neighbor of Turkey and Armenia. They're trying to get into the Eurozone. They're trying to get into the European Union. Their pro-Russia government doesn't want to hear it. So they're 80% of Georgians want to join the EU. Their government has tabled that till 2028. So the Georgian citizens are just lighting up that country right now. It's very interesting to watch. Just these sort of, because again, that's another. Remember, Putin invaded Georgia too. Like that's another on this like quest to rebuild the Soviet Union. You know, taking back Ukraine and Georgia, both strategic positions. So then you had that. Then you had South Korea, which like holy fuck balls, like that was scary.
South Korea is having their Richard Nixon meets Donald Trump moment. That's what that kind of.
For about 36 hours, South Korea became a military dictatorship, and because their president initiated martial law over concerns that they were being infiltrated by North Korea. They instituted like hypersensitive censorship stuff. Half their military went along with it. The other half said, "Fuck this! What are we doing?" The members of their parliament literally broke into the assembly building, literally like fought their way through security forces, broke into the building, staged an emergency session, and voted to end martial law. Now that is fucking badass. Like they basically peacefully put down a potential military dictatorship in like less than 48 hours. So I mean, again, just
take note, America.
Yeah, like they were not, South Korea has become basically one of the strongest democracies in East Asia, in the world, and they were staring down the barrel of authoritarianism, like real authoritarianism there, and they just went, nope, not happening, no fucking way, no.
Do you want to see what? I'll tell you like what I wrote down that I thought was really cute. I wrote, in South Korea, it was a military coup. How about fuck you? Because people believe things when they rhyme. But that is basically what happened, right? And like, here's the thing. So, and then they had their impeachment vote to follow. So they ousted martial law. Yeah. Because remember, they refused to leave the chamber until he came. Like he like ended the martial law. So they like camped out. They're like, motherfucker, we ain't going anywhere, right? So he had to react. But then also they tried an impeachment vote. Now, this is the part that I think is interesting and that I kind of wanted to talk about, because let's flash back in our brains to Richard Nixon era Republican fuckery. Because if you remember, when Watergate started to go bad, like they tried to protect Nixon at first. They really did. Like they were on his team with the Pentagon Papers bullshit when he was trying to censor the press to not release like the realities of Vietnam. They tried to pretend Watergate wasn't a big deal until he found out they were paying off Cubans. And then that just, America and Cubans in the 70s. It just he wasn't going to sell that, is what I'm getting at. But it was the Republican Party ultimately, remember, that told Richard Nixon, like, you're out, you've got to go. And it was Barry Goldwater very specifically that was like, we're going to vote you out. We need you to resign, because that was to avoid the impeachment. Now, in this case, it's a little bit different because they voted to impeach, but he survived his impeachment vote, which is more Donald Trump, either impeachment, truthfully, but more likely the second one after January 6th, right? But his party is promising to like hold him accountable and force him to resign. So we're going to see now, we've stopped the military coup. We've held the president accountable, but then we kind of stepped backwards. They failed to successfully impeach him. But now we're going to see if his own party can hold him accountable and push him out. Then whether or not he will face criminal charges for his actions. I don't know South Korean law off the top of my head well enough to know like what the rules are for prosecuting former, people for their official actions as leaders or whatever. But the point is they're doing better than we are, no matter what those rules are.
Well, that was my question for you. If Donald Trump gets in on January 20th and on January 31st declares martial law and military governance over the states, do you think we pull a South Korea and put it down, or do you think that's that? Like, I don't know. What's your thought?
Well, that will bring us to the other part of our outline. So scroll up, Troy, and let's talk about the House of Representatives, because that is where it's going to happen, right? So the majority in the House of Representatives is nothing. It is nothing. It is 2 votes.
The Republican majority, yeah, is like
and I had to explain this to somebody because I was like, they only have 2 votes to lose, and one of my like people I was talking to, they're like, no, they won 220 to 215. That's 5. I was like, Say louder. You don't understand how the government works, because how many votes do you need for a majority, Troy?
In the
right?
House, 218.
Yeah, 218. Good. I was going to say, come on, Troy. Don't let me down here. Don't.
Well, I mean, a mathematical majority would be 218. It depends on how many.
Yeah, like assuming
it's complicated, Kathy. It depends on how many people are present.
No, I know.
Blah, blah, blah,
assuming everybody's present, it's a 218, right?
218.
So, but not everyone's going to be present, right? Because they won 220 seats, but they lost 3 of them immediately because Matt Gaetz ran away scared, and Elise Stefanik, and who's the other guy
that
that
was
he
so
appointed?
fucking funny, by the way. Matt Gaetz, like Trump just ended Matt Gaetz's career. I don't even know if we want to like spend time on Matt Gaetz because he's such a.
Maybe we could do like a special segment, like a mini episode later. Matt Gaetz, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
let's
just like fucking.
But who's the other guy? So he appointed Elise Stefanik, and there was one more from the House he appointed to something. I can't remember. Who it is.
Some random. I couldn't remember who it was, but I know who you're talking.
But
about.
Nobody important, essentially, right? But that means that he's pulled now. Like, so they had a 220, but that's 3 gone. So that's 217 to 215. That's a 2-vote majority. Now, since all members won't be present, right? The threshold there is 217 to win. So it's weird, but that means that Mike Johnson is going to have to carry 100% of his Republican votes to get any legislation passed. And we all lived through the 118th Congress and saw nothing happen, right?
Remember when they're right back to where they were. Remember what it was like. Okay, if the Republicans have like 2 people out sick, like you could legitimately have a scenario where if those
we
rules,
vacate the speaker,
they vacate the Democrats come in, vacate the speaker, make Hakeem Jeffries the speaker in like a matter of hours before the Republicans even know what happened.
And Republicans would cry coup, but nope. That's just parliamentary. That's just Parley Pro, man.
It's the rules that they decided on.
Your rules. That's just Parley Pro. But that's what it is. It's like from a position of power, Republicans have no power, which to me is the most amazing thing in the world, right?
Well, yeah. That's we said that on the last episode. Like Congress has not changed. Like they're still not going to get anything done at all. Like,
well, what I'm saying is like this Republican majority gives the Democrats all the power because it's a dysfunctional caucus in general. Republicans disagree on a lot. Caucus, right? This is still a world where Marjorie Taylor Greene is a person, and she will happily hold up federal legislation to get Donald Trump to pat her on the head. Like, if he's not paying attention to her and she wants her name in the news, like seriously, she's an attention whore. Just for people to be talking about.
Let's not get crazy. Call it
right. And then let's think about it. So let's assume that we can't completely dismantle American democracy and withhold elections by 2026, right? Which again, I'm not completely confident we can manage to pull off. But for the sake of argument here, a congressional, like the 119th Congress will last for 2 years. But it doesn't really last for 2 years because we're always running for re-election in the House of Representatives. So in all realistic realities, most of us know you have about 10 months at best. You have 10 months at best.
10 months is about the number, yeah.
Before you have to start running for re-election or start toning your ass down so you can win. If you look through, it was a very close election across the board. Like, oh, Donald Trump's saying he got a landslide. Maybe electoral college-wise, but it wasn't a big one. But the margins so fucking close, right? And a lot of I think there are 5 Republicans that Kamala Harris won their district, but there are 3 Democrats that Trump won their district. So even in that, Democrats have an advantage, right? So all we have to do is hold off 10 months worth of fuckery in a dysfunctional Republican caucus that can't agree on a lot of things. They're going to try to overturn Obamacare.
Their caucus to work.
Yeah, they're going to try to overturn Obamacare really quick, but people have already figured out that Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act, and
that was a struggle. But yes, they finally realized that the two things are the same thing.
It only took 14 years, but they eventually got there. It's fine, cool. But now, 14 years in, 47 million Americans depend on Obamacare, and I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. Trump, a lot of your voters depend on Obamacare, and they didn't know they were depending on Obamacare because they had logged on to the Affordable Care Act exchanges, right? They think they have the Affordable Care Act. So you're probably going to face Republicans in those close districts who aren't going to want to repeal Obamacare now because they're not going to want to lose their districts because they will, because those districts are, crazy, whatever. In the aftermath of the assassination of the healthcare guy, of the United Healthcare guy, the whole world has behind the sexiest man alive right now, because this guy is the sexiest man alive.
Who, the assassin?
Yeah, like on the internet, like everyone's just like smash. Like we all love him. He's not all heroes wear capes, some wear hoodies.
Is it really?
Right?
Is it really going in that direction? Like all the ladies.
Have
are, like,
you not seen? Oh my god!
I mean, I've seen
know.
everybody like being snarky about it, but is he really like a sex symbol? That's kind of interesting. I don't know.
UC Berkeley is having a dress up contest, like dress up like the assassin, because basically everyone's looking for him. So if everybody dresses like him, nobody's going to find him.
Lord.
If you saw him, no, you didn't, right? Like there is no safer man in the world than the guy that shot that healthcare executive, right? Like there are people making videos like, if you need a place to hide out, no, I don't, right? Like hero. And then if you go through the comment sections, and I noticed this the other day, is there are as many like Kamala Harris profile pictures as Trump Vance profile pictures praising this assassin. Which means, like, once again, like, because we all hate the same things. We all know what the system is doing to us. We all just have a different arm of the media telling us who to be mad at for it. But this is a uniting thing right here, right? So if Republicans come in ready to overturn Obamacare and deregulate health insurance to give healthcare CEOs more power to deny claims in the aftermath of an assassination of a healthcare executive that united Democrats and Republicans, I'm just saying, I don't think this is gonna, like, Donald Trump thinks he consolidated power. He thinks like a billionaire, which means he thinks that all he has to do is win over the people in charge, the levers of power. So he hostile took over the party. He courted all his billionaire donors. He won all the rich people and thinks he's won. And in true billionaire fashion, has ignored the needs and realities of the people. Because as you said, did the people of South Korea just shut down a fucking military coup? Yes. Did the people of Syria just overthrow a fucking dictator? Yes. Are the people of Georgia having a fit? Were people in Iran protesting the Ayatollah? Like, this is like, it's been going on for a hot fucking minute. So what I think is Donald Trump going to come in thinking he has all the power in the world? Yes. Is he very quickly going to realize the power lies in the hands of the people? Also, yes.
Well, yeah, especially if this becomes French Revolution and we're just, building guillotines and having, tennis court parties and CEOs.
I mean, his team already built a gallows once.
That's true. They did.
There is no honor among
thieves. They did, break through the no gallows rule in American politics. That norm has been shattered.
That has been shattered. But I also think
the people
Donald
that
Trump
are just
is
like
so No, but wait, hold on. Hold on, let me finish really quick. Like, he's so arrogant that he's going to think that now that he's won, even his own followers will just let him do whatever he wants. But he's going to be a victim of his own arrogance on this one.
I see your point.
Yeah.
I do think that he's going to be hamstrung. The man is 80 fucking years old and he eats nothing but McDonald's 8 times a day.
Also, can we talk about how age was never an issue again? It's just whatever. You know what?
He's not exactly like a virile wannabe dictator. He's also losing his goddamn mind.
I know. It's like telling the kids about this the other day. They were asking me questions, and I was like, "Look, here's what I can tell you. I don't think Donald Trump will survive his full term in office, not for any nefarious, like whatever reason. I just don't think he's healthy, and I don't see him living like to 100 years, like Jimmy Carter, right? Like."
I don't see him doing. I don't see him filling out his term. I got to be honest with you. That was the thing on election night was when he won. It was like, okay, JD Vance just became your next president because I don't see this guy filling out a full 4-year term. So where do you? Okay, so you had the assassin. We have a few more minutes left. We had the assassination. We had the assassination of this United Healthcare CEO. United Healthcare denies more claims than anybody. Fully like 1/3 of their claims are denied. It was reported this guy was getting behind AI algorithm technology that would just automatically deny people's claims. I mean, a lot of people are dying because of this insurance fuckery in the United States. The bullet casings had like deny, depose, defend written on them, which was made the motive obvious that it was basically a revenge killing, just because this guy is the CEO of a healthcare company. You have CEOs' addresses getting posted online, CEOs getting doxxed. You have people talking about other CEOs that kind of should be like in the line of fire. So I
I
don't
was
know.
like, are we allowed to make submissions? Like, are we taking requests?
Are you on the side of like I don't know, I just don't know that I'm there yet. I admit it, it's a sexy sort of thing. It's really interesting. It's very alarming that we are reaching this point. Do I think these CEOs deserve it? Absolutely. Do I think some of these billionaires deserve a French Revolution? Absolutely. I'm just very nervous. I am very, very nervous to get behind a system of revenge and politics by the gun. I've seen how it plays out in other countries, and it just never goes well. Or am I just being an old man and overreacting about all this?
A little bit of both. But to this, I will say, when the people shall have nothing more to eat, they will eat the rich. And who said that?
Yep.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And what did Jean-Jacques Rousseau give us? The separation of powers and the basic fundamentals of federalist government. So he tends to have some ideas. Which
Rousseau was a
always
good one.
amazes me. Like, do you know how much like the way America was like inspired by the Enlightenment, and people still don't understand the Constitution is an economic document. Like, America was designed to be socialist, but Thomas Jefferson got in the way. I'll die on that hill. Do I think he deserves it?
I actually agree.
Yeah, and like here's the best summary to this I can give you. Like, am I condoning this? No. Am I advocating for it? No. But what I will say is, like, I saw a meme that I think encompasses this perfectly. I think it conveys the message, and like, I don't feel vengeful. I don't want us to continue doing this, but I also don't give a hot shit if people do this. And the meme was, your claim for sympathy has been denied. This event is outside my emotional network.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think that sums it up. Like,
I get it. 100%.
No one mourns the wicked.
I am not a pacifist. I do believe that there is a very much a time for armed struggle, and I think more. I mean, we have bigger wealth inequality in this country than they had in the French Revolution, and at the very least, I feel like it's time for some of these people to be quaking in their boots a little bit. Absolutely, I could absolutely.
I think they're going to regret all those loose gun laws for the next couple of years. I think that's what's.
I just don't want it to get out of hand, and I dread the reverse. You know what I mean? Like, I just keep thinking about the assassination attempt on Trump. Somebody shot at Trump, and I just keep thinking about, what if somebody had shot at Kamala, and how, or if what if they had shot Kamala, and how terrible we would all feel, and how just heartbreaking that would be.
Here's what I'll tell you, and on some
feel
level,
you can't love the gun only when it serves your purpose, because it will never only just serve your purpose if that's the route that you want to go.
Well, yeah, like it's oddly enough, like I was teaching the First Amendment this week with the kids, and I said that too. Like, you can't only protect the speech you like. In fact, it's more important to defend the speech you don't like, because it's not freedom if you only protect what you like. That's just your window of tyranny, right? Like, but I feel like I've been thinking about this actually. Like, sometimes the world is bigger than America. All right. And even I forget that. Even like, I have a pretty good understanding of like the interconnectedness of the world, I think. But even I can sometimes get lost in like, there's more to us, right? Like, we wanted Kamala to win. We wanted to save America, but maybe Kamala couldn't win because the world at large was not ready for what she was bringing, right? Remember 1848, it was the age of revolutions. It was all over the world. Revolutions broke out. And right now, all over the world, revolutions are breaking out. Now, part of me is like, I would have loved Kamala Harris to come in here and actually salvage what's left of this democracy. But also, if gigantic changes are going to happen, if we're walking into an age of revolution, do I want her? Like, maybe I want the bad guys in charge when we're overthrowing bad guys.
Okay.
Makes sense? And I'm not saying like I'm thrilled about this. I'm not. But I'm saying, like, if we want the veil lifted, if we want everyone to see that, like, the Republican Party has been lying to you for 50 years, they have gotten you scared of Democrats like Democrats are trying to fix the problems you're actually mad about, but Republicans have convinced you that Democrats are just evil, baby killing, fucking blood drinking monsters, right? They filled your head with so much bullshit and propaganda that when I come to you with solutions to your problems, you're like, you're a terrible person. And you see that all the time. Like I'll have to comment in some, like I responded to somebody's comment on TikTok or I don't even remember where they were like, it was a Trump Vance little profile picture and like praising the healthcare CEO. I was like, but do you, and I was like, I just have a question. I'm like, do you realize you voted for a billionaire CEO, like who wants to repeal laws and give health insurance people more power? Like, I know if you're a leftist, I know the kind of person you are. I'm not interested. I'm like, babe, I'm like, you're praising the actions of people who are killing the people you voted for. Like, and it's just lost to them. And it's because they can't get past like the character assassination that Republicans have spent, I'm going to say 30 years on their media networks. They have been primed with just branding Democrats as evil. And there's no getting through that, right? So I think if we can't convince them Democrats are evil, we have to convince them Republicans are evil. And the only way that's going to happen is by letting Republicans be evil. Like sit back and be like, okay, then. If that's what you wanted, if that's what you voted for, how about we let you see what it is? How about we stop protecting you? Because we've been protecting you from your own actions for a long time. You voted in George W. Bush and he sent us to war and he trashed the economy. And what did we do? We came back in and we fixed that fucking mess for you. You voted for Donald Trump. He threw the world into a pandemic, almost started a war with Iran, and threw the world into chaos. And we came and we fixed that for you. And you picked him again. Fuck you then. I'm just going to let you know, like, you know what? Touch the fucking stove.
Yeah, I mean, no, I absolutely agree. And that's, that comes back to like, why the US empire is done because the next 4 years are going to be absolutely hellacious if they get to do everything. And even if they don't get to do everything they want to do, the US is essentially done. And maybe that is a good fucking thing. And maybe it will take 4 years of just a hellacious Trump presidency, because when we get to midterms, when we get to 26, 28, people are going to be so fed up. I mean, Americans just hate people in charge. We just hate government. So, by the time
that's because of fucking Ronald Reagan and I'm from the government and I'm here to help, right? Like, I'm hoping that we can blow that idea up too, that the government is supposed to help us. And that's where I think Pete Buttigieg could be our next Teddy Roosevelt. Like, could he just like show up in a couple years and be like, hey, remember me? I'm here and I'm going to do some things. And
I do love me some Petey. I can get behind that.
He's so cute.
The booty judge. Yeah.
Hey. But
I 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
It is time for, but it's also time for Americans to stop just pussyfooting around with resistance. We didn't invent it, but like we perfected civil resistance. We were a society we were a fuck around, find out society for a long time. In the 20th century, you could not get away with the shit that people have been getting away with in the 21st century. And now we have billionaires running the government. What I'm saying, what I'm more concerned, what I'm just saying, more than anything, is that the French Revolution is here, and I think people need to wake up and realize that the kids are not okay, and the kids are arming up. Like the kids are building the guillotines. The kids are done. The kids are fucking fed up. They can't afford rent. They can't afford groceries. They can't get good jobs. There's no upward mobility. While we have billionaires, literally, we have a billionaire and oligarch class coming into reality that's in charge of cutting social services and cutting regulations to their own industries. You can push people only so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like this, and I want to be clear, I'm not sitting here saying that like Donald Trump did this. Like, no, the kids haven't been okay for a very long time. And if the rise of school shootings wasn't like clue to that, then it should be. So I'm going to share with you guys something, and it's something I wrote a long time ago. I wrote it in 2018 in the aftermath of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting. And right now it's available on my Patreon to paid members, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this a free thing. And Troy, I want you to like link it in the show notes so everybody could go and read it. But it's Confessions of a Public School Teacher. And
have I ever read this?
You've read it, because I've showed it to you. But I wrote it October 23rd of 2018, and you'll read it today, I think, and it's poignant in a lot of ways. So I'm going to put this in here for you.
This is a good point that you're getting at, is that the youth have already lived by the gun for the last two decades. I mean, they
Yeah,
the
which
gun
means like
the gun stuff for them, that's their reality. They live in a where politics is
mhm.
controlled by the gun.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't convince them to not turn to violence when they've only ever grown up in a world where you've protected violence against them,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
so I hate to say this a little bit, but you may a little bit about to get exactly what you asked for, and I know that's not going to be fun for you. So I just put the link to it in the thing there, and I'm going to text you the link too, just so you can find it easier as well. But it's Confessions of a Public School Teacher, and again, the horrifying thing about reading this is that you're going to realize I wrote it 6 years ago. Like, nobody did a fucking thing. Like, nothing's changed. In fact, it's gotten worse, right?
Do you want me
So
to throw this up here right now? I could just do a screen share, or do you want to just read it?
you could. It's long. I don't think you want me to read it. I mean, I'll gladly read it
Well, how
if you
much are
want me
you going
to.
to read? You just going to give me
I
some
mean, I
highlights,
guess
or are you going to read the whole thing?
I think the highlight that I think will give you an idea is I'll read the
All right,
first and the very
just
last
do
paragraph.
highlights, and I'll just link it in the show notes so people can read the whole thing.
Well, the first paragraph and the last paragraph are short, and I think they get the idea, right? So it opens with, on February 14th, 2018, a 19-year-old opened fire in the hallways of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, killing 17 of his classmates and teachers. In the days that followed, the eyes of the nation were fixed on Florida as teenagers stood in defense of one another and demanded action be taken, demanding a change in their schools. But buried behind the much-needed and predictably partisan gun debate were the cries of a generation of kids who have been robbed of a true education. And sadly, they don't know what they've missed. But what they have missed is at the core of the problem that resulted in them having to bury their friends and teachers far too soon. And then I write a whole bunch of fucking shit, and I end with, hold on. Where is it? I'll stop right here. I'm like, but the kids need guidance. They need reasoning. They need to be challenged mentally and emotionally. They need to have their perspectives challenged. They need to learn to argue and defend. They need to be able to research and find the answers to their questions. They need more than multiple choice strategies, guided reading, and essential questions. They need debate, discussion, and discourse. They need objective knowledge. They need subjective reasoning. They need teachers who are allowed to teach them, who are allowed to challenge them and give them lessons they need for life, without a lifeline from mommy and daddy to make it better. School is meant to be a microcosm in which kids can learn to grow. So when they get into the real world, it doesn't kick the shit out of them, even though it will, and we know that. Our job is to prepare them as best we can. Our job is to make them resilient enough to take the hits and keep going. And we aren't doing that right now, and they are begging us to in every way they can think of. Sometimes they even write their message in bullet holes.
And again, and you wrote this again when this was
in
what year?
2018, in the aftermath
yeah.
of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. So about 6 months, no, wait, hold on. 8 months after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, I wrote that. And it's that last line that I think is very poignant. They've told us this in every way they can, sometimes even with bullet holes.
Yeah, no, it's very telling. It's very chilling. I think
so. Good luck, CEOs.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like I'm sorry, you basically militarized an entire generation, and they're entering the real world.
Yeah, they are pissed off.
In the
they
French
have
Revolution.
Nothing to look forward to. They have nothing to lose, and you've taught them that being a bully and being violent will make you a billionaire and president. Mm-hmm. How do you think they're going to react? What do you think they're going to do? Bullying people, being mean to people, belittling people, and shooting people is what you taught them makes them president. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. Yeah. I know these kids. They're fuckers. Like
you're like I've looked into their eyes.
I'm like, I love
pure
them.
evil.
And like, if you need to calm them down, you're going to have to call me, because when shit gets real, you're going to need me and my gavel and my scary aura, because I shut up my fifth period. I'm going to have to shut up a whole generation. But you know what? I ain't doing it for Donnie. I'm going to be like, go kids, go.
That's sort of where I'm at. I guess if we could just leave it. I want to leave on your thing, because that was wonderful. And I'll link it in the show notes. But yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. I'm like, you know what? Personally, I'm not going to celebrate people being murdered. I'm also just sort of
not going to be sad about it.
I'm not going to stop it. I'm not going to be sad about it. And I think if at very least these billionaires having a little bit of restlessness in their sleep is is at the very least something they deserve.
To the CEOs concerned about the rise in gun violence, I will say to you, thoughts and prayers.
Yep. Concepts of thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers, or thoughts and
prayers.
deductibles, whatever. You
thoughts and denied claims,
Thoughts and
denied claims of sympathy.
deductibles.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
but
leave
my
it there.
your claim for emotional sympathy has been denied. It's outside my emotional network. Fuck you.
Does not compute. Thanks, Cathy.
Claim
We're gonna leave
denied.
it there.
Yeah, make that the hashtag for the episode. Claim denied.
Claim denied.
Claim denied.
That's like the line from the Schwarzenegger movie when they write the movie about this. Boom, boom, claim denied, motherfucker.
Claim denied. Had he written that on the bullet, that would have been hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Like, had it said claim denied.
Oh boy.
What I'm getting at is, I think America is done
World's
with
most
bullshit.
eligible bachelor.
And telling you, man. Like, I saw one TikTok where it was like the skit was like police officers going around. Have you seen this man? And they just held it up to her and she went, smash. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were playing. Smash.
That's funny. That's all the time we have. It was a really good episode, guys. They're just like,
right. I told you it would be.
I'm trying to like grasp everything we just talked about, ending with a smash or pass game.
Smash.
So, hey, listen, check us out on Blue Sky. Blue Sky is kind of taking the world by storm. It's actually functionally replaced Twitter in a lot of really good ways. I haven't used Twitter in probably 6 months. If you're interested in text-based social media, Blue Sky is so much better than Twitter. All of the great Twitter accounts have made the move over to Blue Sky. Cathy and I are on it. If you are a fan of Cathy on TikTok, hop on over to Blue Sky and follow Cathy.
Especially since TikTok might be getting banned. So
we all need to. The TikTokers need to kind of diversify, because it looks like TikTok is not long for this world. So. And Instagram
means I have to learn how to use
better.
YouTube, it seems.
So we'll be probably focusing more on YouTube, but check out Blue Sky. Follow Cathy and I on Blue Sky for more of these poignant thoughts. Do check out the YouTube.
It breaks news. Like, I actually got news from Blue Sky before I got a news alert from the New York Times the other day. So Blue Sky is like old Twitter. It's amazing.
That was the only reason to hang on to Twitter, is that it was so reliable for like breaking news. But if Blue Sky can steal the breaking news aspect of it, there is zero reason to still be on Twitter.
Yeah.
So check us out there. Check us out on YouTube. Just Buy Less Coffee to watch the video episodes. Subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/Just Buy Less Coffee for more in-depth content from us, exclusive content. And then, as always, wherever you're listening to this podcast, wherever you get your podcast, make sure you're just downloading that episode. Find the download button, download the episode to your device, to your local device. Download numbers are how we are ranked with other podcasts, and we are consistently ranked in the top 200 in the US. We would like to be in the top 100, so please help us out.
If we get in the top 100, this could be our full-time job, and I could post more, guys. That's all I'm saying. Just throwing that out there.
If you want to see
where it lands,
if you want more chilling thoughts from the recesses of Cathy's brain.
Yeah, if this could be my full-time job, we would do like a weekly episode of Cannon's Conspiracies. I will promise you that. If you can make this our full-time job, I will give you a weekly conspiracy episode.
We could be a semi-weekly. We could come on every other day and just talk shit. Talk tinfoil. Yeah.
If this was our full-time job, we could go back to the Tuesday, Thursday, right? Like twice a week. We just sit, we chat, we talk. But you guys have to sign up and give us money for that. So
thanks everybody for listening and supporting us thus far. We love all of you guys. We love all of our supporters. Thanks for hanging with us. Cathy, thank you for a great conversation.
Thank
you.
We
will see.
I missed you, Troy. And tomorrow's my birthday. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Cathy. She's turning 21.
Yeah,
go
they
party.
Stop being fun after you've had 42 of them. I'm not going to lie. Kind of anticlimactic,
Thoughts and male strippers for Cathy for her birthday.
Thoughts and deductibles.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We will see everybody next time. You've been listening to Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics, featuring Troy Matthews at Keep Troy Blue and Cathy Cannon at Cannon's Fodder. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and X. All opinions are our own.